The Stake F1 team held their livery launch yesterday for the C44 car, which they will be using for the 2024 F1 season. Now, while this was presented as a livery launch, there actually were some changes to the so-called show car which was on display, which showed some aggressive design changes as put by the team for this year. And here is a list of all the noted changes from yesterday's launch. First up is a huge change to the front suspension design on the C44, with a move away from the push rod into a pull rod front suspension layout, something that the RB19 used to great effect last year with its anti-dive effects. Now, this was all done to keep the aerodynamic platform as dynamically stable as possible, and this is exactly what the Stake F1 team are trying to accomplish here. So this is being done solely for the purpose of an aerodynamic effect, and was something the C43 did not have built into its design. But with all the known advantages of having such a device installed on the car, the benefits greatly outweighed the negatives. The next change, where a lot of you I would have no doubt noticed straight away, was the change in sidepod philosophies. For 2024, Stake have ditched last year's suboptimal layout and chosen to follow Red Bull's lead in this area once more. The sidepod inlet now features the underlip that Red Bull first ran in the ground effect era, and also incorporates the undercut seen on the RB19, minus the bump on top. So, with these two major changes already having taken place, we can see that the C44 clearly takes a lot of inspiration from the field-leading RB19. And the team says they will have a further update for the first race in this particular area, so be sure to look out for that. Before discussing the next change on this year's C44, if you're enjoying the content, consider hitting the subscribe button down below for more Formula 1 unveilings, live streams for the pre-season, and all the latest news stories. Right, let's get back on with the video. The next notable change on the C44, which is being forced upon them, but for good reasons, is the air intake on the C44. And this is all to do with the changes they've made further up the car, in particular the sidepods. With them now slimmed down, less of the cooling can be housed within them, and so you've had to go for a more centralized cooling for this year. So this is a positive side effect of the changes they've made, and it's a feature that should be perhaps apparent on quite a few of the Ferrari cars, I would suggest, because I think a lot of them, as we've seen, are going down the Red Bull style sidepods. Again, another thing which is further evidence of this is the rather enlarged engine cover, and the best angle to showcase that is from behind the car, showing the diffuser, beam ring and rear ring. If we have a side-by-side comparison shot of this year's render against last year's render, you can quite clearly see that they've had to open up the engine cover quite dramatically, in fact. And this is something that, again, going back to Ferrari, when they're making the switch for this year, I expect to see very much the same situation occurring with their engine cover. And it's all about making sure they have enough space for the cooling that they need with the car. But also there's like a secondary effect, and this links again, as everything seems to be doing now, with a convergence on all of the concepts Red Bull first introduced in this ground effect era. Now, as for some of the more extremely important areas of the car that they haven't showcased, and they had what you would call fake parts on the car, that relates to the floor and venturi tunnels. I do not believe anything we saw in terms of on the renders or the show car at the launch event are anywhere near what we will see when they hit the track at pre-season testing later this month. And I think this is something a lot of the big teams will be doing. There's even a rumor now, Aston Martin, for their launch, they won't be showing their floor or any of the other areas of importance. And I think that's just a general trend we'll be seeing. Right guys, thank you all for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, give a like, subscribe if you're new around here, and I'll catch you all in some Formula 1 videos.